House Watchers, this is your reading for your Sagittarius X. This is a random X spread. There's no timeline. When you come in to view it is when you're meant to see it, okay? If you want a little more information on your X, check out my Sun Moon readings that I have in my playlist. That'll tell you what they're up to for 2018 if you know your X's Sun Moon signs. If you don't, there's a calculator below, and you can go ahead and figure that out and check it out. I'm also on Instant Go if you need a quick answer to a quick question. And then finally, if you need help moving on past your ex or want to reconcile or what have you, consider a personal reading. My rates and info are below. Just send me an email. We can make that happen. Right now, at this time, I'm running a 24-hour special, but that ends tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Tomorrow would be March 22nd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go check out my video that says 24-hour snow special. Okay? Alrighty, let's see what's going on here. Holy Spirit, Angels, Divine Guides, Universe, can you please show me Sagittarius X's, what is their present situation? The Six of Swords in reversed, okay? Can you please show us what Sagittarius X's are doing now? What are they doing now? What are their actions right now? What are they doing right now? What are their actions? Okay, Two of Cups in reversed. Can you show us the reason for their situation? What's the reason for their situation? The Judgment card. Can you show us what will happen next with the Sagittarius X? We have the Page of Wands in the upright. And then finally, final outcome. In regards to Sagittarius X's, we had the Eight of Pentacles in the upright. And I just want to get something out here. I'm uploading, so I'm just checking on something. I didn't mean to necessarily do that while this is going on. I know, I'm sorry for the pause. But I'll just start off with the Six of Swords while I'm doing this. Six of Swords? Yes, the Six of Swords in reverse while I'm sitting here and checking this out or doing this. I can multitask. I'm a Capricorn. Well, no, we don't multitask very well. All right, so here's the deal with this Six of Swords, okay? Their present situation with your Sagittarius X, they're having a very difficult time moving on. The reason why is they don't, they're having stagnancy. It's mostly because they need to tie up loose ends in regards to you. They still have some things that I wouldn't necessarily say closure. I mean, it could be closure, but there's just some stuff that they need to rectify with you or resolve with you, or maybe it's just stuff in their own mind that they're not 100% there yet in regards to this past relationship. So they really are having an inability to move on. There's not a lot of energy flowing, nothing in regards to that, okay? So what they're doing right now, they could have been in a relationship and they're coming out of a relationship, but I don't really feel that that's kind of what the issue is. I think they're not able to move on because at this present time, they're thinking about the breakup. They're thinking about the arguments you guys had. They're thinking about, for some of you, the secrets that were between you, the cheating that happened, anything like that. And another thing about this, there was a time when they thought that you were the one. I mean, of course, you know, you can say that. Probably that would apply to anybody, any sign that's coming in here. But the thing is with the Two of Cups is that they really had an eye-to-eye, like you were the yin to their yang. You were the mirror to their soul. I mean, it really was a soulmate relationship, and it ended. So they're still trying to reconcile a lot of stuff in regards to that. Because they don't understand how they could have such a great connection with somebody, be so one-on-one, and now it's gone. So that's kind of what they're trying to figure out. Like, what do they have to do so that they can kind of move on? And they know there's a connection to you, but they don't really know what to do with that, okay? Now, here is the reason for the situation. Part of it is that they're assessing themselves right now. They're assessing the situation, and they're trying to let go of the past, okay? One of the things that they're considering with this Judgment card is they're actually considering reconciling with you. That's one of the things that they're throwing in here. They're considering revisiting this relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantically. It can also be just as a friend. But they are reconsidering a relationship with you, but they're assessing this and they're wondering you know, is it going to be worthwhile to give this another round? Would it be worth trying again? Okay. And I feel like for some of you, you have reappeared in their life, and there was a retrograde that we just went through, and that kind of spurred them to really start kind of thinking about this. Okay. But I do think part of them is also, part of the other half of that equation is kind of assessing, judging, looking at it, and then wondering if they should fully move on. So I almost feel like they're caught like in between two worlds right now. I don't feel like they were before, but I feel like they are now in regards to you. And it's funny because this is actually, you guys are the only, or the Sagittarius X is the only spread I'm seeing in any of the 12 that I've done where someone's actually considering going back to someone, reconciling, or at least thinking in that regard. Not in a serious nature, but thinking about it. Now, we come to the Page of Wands here, okay? And I'm wondering, part of it is I'm wondering if you guys have started talking to each other recently. I almost feel like it was blocked for, and now you guys are kind of talking a little bit more. But there is communication going on. It's very early. It's very tentative. And it's very new. But I feel like this relationship is kind of shifting into something else, okay? The reconciliation that that I mentioned, I don't feel that it's a love thing. I feel almost like this person wants to try a friendship with you, or is considering friendship, and then kind of seeing where that goes. And like I said, with the Page of Wands, you guys are talking, and they're kind of being, it's new. It's a new kind of energy that they're getting from this, and that's what has them thinking about it. Whereas before, I don't feel like they would have even like considered it. And so here we have the Eight of Pentacles in the upright in the final outcome. And I feel like they actually feel like working on something. I feel like, and it might just be working on finding a resolution or working on finding closure, but this might be where the answer, or working on a new relationship, like a friendship with you, or whatever the relationship's going to be. And with the Eight of Pentacles, it's really kind of through the communication you guys are having, you know, figuring out what went wrong. You know, that goes back to the Six of Swords here. What went wrong? How could it have been better? Where did we fail? Where were our contributions to it? Where were our failures? What was our contribution to the dissolution of our relationship? Like that kind of stuff. And kind of finding out those things brings the two of you closer to either to closure and moving on, or closer to considering a friendship, or closer to a reconciliation, okay? So let me see what's going on with the Six of Swords in reverse. Why is the Six of Swords here in reverse for Sagittarius' present situation? Why is the Six of Swords here? Who is this person? What is this energy? Additional messages with the Six of Swords. This Page of Wands can also be them talking to somebody else. Because Wands are fire, so they could be talking to somebody new, having new conversations with somebody. And this could be them working on themselves, but let me see. Six of Swords in reverse. Who is this person? What is this energy with this Six of Swords in reversed? Alright. So they almost want to go back. You want to either go back to, talk to, connect, because they want to get these loose ends tied up. Or you do. But what's going on here is that somebody's trying to do that and the other person isn't that interested. Or there's just disinterest altogether because somebody remembers the fights you guys had. Really brutal fights. Really cutting words. Really trying to be right over the other person. Really heated arguments. So I feel like either your Sagittarius X feels like if they reach out to you to try to get answers, this is going to be the result. So they're really not that interested in it. Or vice versa. You know, you're going to reach out to them, and that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of fights and stuff like that, and you aren't going to be very interested. Just flip flop the energies. All right, so let me move on to the Two of Cups here. If nothing else, they just aren't, and they aren't being very successful in finding a soulmate at this time. That's part of this too. Can you please provide clarification? The Two of Cups. And they might just be disinterested in a relationship altogether with that Two of Cups. That's also, because we just, the disinterest here and disinterest over here, I don't feel like they're very interested in connecting with other people. Clarification on the Two of Cups, but I do feel like you're on their mind. Clarification, Two of Cups. Okay. Okay, and they are thinking about how, I feel like you guys really had a tough relationship. It was an emotional challenge for them. It definitely, it tapped them when it came to, I mean, it was like a test for them. I'm getting turmoil. I'm getting that it was really, really hard for you guys. What am I... Yeah, I mean, and they're coming out of that, but they're definitely remembering how it was. So they're coming out of the cold, and this relationship that they had really kind of tested their resource, tested who they were, tested them like they've never been tested before, okay? I'm like, testing. And this Queen of Swords here, so that's kind of the Queen of Swords, just, he doesn't put up with any crap, okay? And part of what they're doing now is they're thinking about that, and they're like, I just don't want to go through that crap again. I don't want to go through kind of what we went through with anybody. So they're also being very careful about other people. So it's almost like a disinterest. Like, people are coming at them and they're like, you know, they kind of immediately see that person for how they are. And also with the Queen of Swords, they're pretty self-sufficient right now. They don't really need anybody. She's a little bit independent, even though she's the wife of the King of Swords, but still, she's you know, logical. She's not going to get into something unless it has total honesty. And the experience, like I said, it really dragged them over the coals. So they're just being very aloof in regards to things. Can you please provide clarification on the reason for the situation for Sagittarius X's? Why is this Judgment card here for the reason for the situation? And it's funny with the Judgment card because the World would be the end. So even the Judgment card is 20 and the World is 21. And it's almost like they haven't reached the end yet. They're stuck here in the 20. They're stuck in the page before the book, okay? And that's why they're assessing and they're trying to figure things out. I feel they do truly want to move on. But then again, they don't. Can you please provide clarification on Judgment card? Why is the Judgment card here for Sagittarius X's? Person. Probably can't move on because they are considering, would it be worthwhile to have a connection with you again? But a lot of them is remembering how tumultuous the relationship was. I feel like they like a part of you. There's a part of you they really like and they want to connect to, but there's other parts when you guys together that are like, you know, what's the saying? When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's really bad with you guys. And they're just kind of remembering that. So they are considering, so now we have the Two of Wands, and that can be partnerships and adventures and wanting to do something and, you know, planning stuff, but they're waiting on something. They're waiting on something to make a choice. And we have the Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands is they remember how stressful the relationship was. You know, there were too many expectations and it was exhausting. So they're remembering the good, they're remembering the bad in regards to this. And they have a connection to you. There is a large part of you they like, but then there's this other part. And I think they're waiting to see if you've changed. I'm getting that too, because they're remembering these negatives. And part of them is wondering, they're being kind of tentative. Have they changed? Have they really changed? They're sensing that you have, but they're still cautious. Can you please provide clarification on this Page of Wands? Why is this Page of Wands here in regards to what will happen next in regards to the Sagittarius X? I do feel like communication is going to pick up between the two of you. What will happen next in regards to the Sagittarius X person? But again, if I look at this guy, he just looks very wary about talking to somebody. He wants to talk, but he's being very careful. Careful on whether he should respond or not. I feel like the communication is coming from you, and they're kind of like, I don't know. Should I answer them? What are they up to? That's what I feel like. They feel a little paranoid when you come at them. clarification on the Page of Wands, please? Who is this person? What is this energy? Why is this Page of Wands here in regards to Sagittarius is moving forward? They're conflicted with the Five of Clubs. They're conflicted within. They're not sure what to do. They like a part of you, but then they're conflicted because they think you're up to something when they talk to you. Because I immediately got like this paranoia, this overly, yeah. So, and with the Nine of Spades. So they're really worried about, what's a good way to put this? They're worried about getting too close, okay? Or allowing you to get too close. Either you're going to misunderstand it, and they're just conflicted about how they're going to handle this. Or they might be worried about getting too close to you. We're zooming this. There's definitely a caution that they have here. So let's see what's in regards to this final outcome. This Eight of Pentacles to me is somebody working on themselves and changing. And I can't quite tell if it's you, them, or both. But somebody wants to better themselves, or somebody has bettered themselves. And I feel like they're opening up to you because they've seen that you're different in some regard, but they still don't trust you. Let's see the Eight of Pentacles. Why is this Eight of Pentacles here? This is actually the only reading where anyone's actually thinking about their ex. And please provide clarification of the Eight of Pentacles in the upright. What's that final outcome for Sagittarius is? Okay, so I feel like they have noticed there's a change in you. And with this King of Hearts, they have feelings for you, but they're keeping their emotions in check. They are empathetic towards you. They are kind of letting their heart guide them, and they're understanding, but they're not being detached. They're just making sure that they're being very mature in regards to their emotions, not rushing into anything. Because the King of Hearts, he keeps his emotions in check. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. Very mature in how he uses them. But they do have a desire for, well, part of the thing with the Four of Diamonds here is they're fearing this change. Okay, so they see that you've changed, but they're fearful of it at the same time. But they want something long-term with somebody, but they're fearful. They see the change, they don't know what it's about, and they can't trust it. So I do think it's you that's worked on yourself and changed, and they're seeing it. They're having, oh, now we have the couple. Okay, so we have the King with the Queen. I think you guys, they do want to reconcile with you. But they're fearful of it. So now we have the Queen of Hearts, somebody who's very, so this could very well be you, somebody who has, maybe this is just change in you. Maybe you've become more supportive. Maybe you've become more helpful. Maybe you are a more nurturing person where you weren't before. I think they're seeing this change in you, but I don't feel like, oh, this is exciting. Let me pull one more. Here's an additional clarifier on the Eight of Pentacles. And if I got the message, if this is how it's going to be, then yes. But they don't trust the change. I feel like you've done something before that makes them not trust the change. Like you've said before you were going to change, and you didn't follow through. You said things are going to be different. So that's what has them a little bit wary. Eight of Pentacles. Who is this person? What is this energy? What additional messages do you have for the Eight of Pentacles? In the upright. Person. All right, so I feel like that's the other side of them. They're being very, very mature, okay? So the King of Hearts, like I said, we're not say it again about how they are being control their emotions, but now we have this King of Swords here, and he's not cold, but he's very aloof, and he's observing, and he finds out the truth. He gets the clarity in regards to this. I'm trying to think of a additional way to say it. I always have like a thesaurus on standby. That's not the word I'm looking for. He's, okay, I'll try to articulate it as best I can. I can never find the words that I really exactly want to say. So, between this king and this, so he's being, I think before, they were very immature and they just went with this. And now they're looking at you and they're considering things from a lot of different, but I think what I'm trying to say here is they are terrified to put their feelings out there, okay? Because I feel like they did that before and it didn't turn out well. So now they're kind of like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. I'm seeing what's going on. Let's see if it keeps up. Let's see if they are, you know, using this. Okay, your Sagittarius axis being this King of Spades, looking at you, observing you, and going, okay, well, let's see. Let me use my clarity to see if they're really going to kind of be a changed person. You know, let's kind of see. It's almost like they're observing you to kind of, you know, make sure that you're following through on what you're saying. And they do want a relationship with you, but they're terrified of they just have a fear of jumping back into it with you or changing the situation they're currently in, even though they're not very happy in what they're currently in. Okay. All right, that's all I have for you. Like I said, this is only reading where there's even like a mention of an ex in some way. So I do think and let me double check. I mean, unless this is another person, but I'm not getting that it is because we have these cards here. No, I think it's you guys. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this reading. Again, like I said, keep in mind that my Sun-Moon ratings are up in the playlist. If you want to go ahead and check those out in regards to your ex, see what they're up to in 2018. I'm on Instant if you need a quick answer to a quick question. And otherwise, if you need help moving past your ex or, you know, want to know about a reconciliation or whatever, you can just send me an email. We can do a personal reading on that. Okay? Adios from Veronica Garnet. Good luck, guys. Bye.